Good afternoon and welcome to Cardiff University. Prynhawn da a croeso i Prifysgol Cardydd. Thank you for joining us to hear about our ambitions for innovation. We have an hour with room for some questions at the end. Please feel free to ask us about anything as we go through by using the Q&A facility, not the chat facility. We'll aim to ask as many as we can today, but if we can't answer them all directly, we will do so afterwards and get back to everyone within a few days. So before I tell you a little bit about Cardiff Innovation Campus, I'd love to introduce our speakers. First, we will hear from John Boughton, the Regional Director for Bouygues UK in Wales and the South West. Then John will hand over to Team sbarc, which is Professor Damian Walford Davies, who's our Pro Vice Chancellor for the College of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, and Sally O'Connor, sbarc's newly appointed Director of Operations. They will introduce Professor Chris Taylor, Director of sbarc, the Social Science Research Park, and then we will take questions at the end. So, welcome again to Cardiff Innovation Campus. And here we are. When you walk up to our new front door in a few months' time, the artist's impression that you see on the screen here will be a reality. For the past 2.5 years, we've been really busy turning a disused railway yard into our future home of innovation. The 7-storey building you see here is sbarc. Designed by award-winning architects Hawkins Brown, it is the realisation of our strategic ambitions. It's been called a magnet, a place to connect, a centre for collaboration and creative ideas. Importantly, sbarc will grow our post-pandemic recovery alongside a new translational research hub, which is the second major building on the site. That building is dedicated to physical sciences and will open in 2022. But back to sbarc. Here, entrepreneurs, social science researchers, student startups and business spin-outs will join forces, stimulating ideas and using evidence to solve real-world problems across the Cardiff capital region and beyond. The largest innovation facility of its kind in Wales, sbarc features commercial office space, laboratories for spin-outs and startups, plus dedicated space for entrepreneurs. So, how has sbarc been coming along? Well, here's how it looked around about 2 months ago. And progress is progressing really, really fast. In the centre of the picture, in the foreground, you see a fully glazed lower building. That is where you will be invited in. That's where our public events will take place. It's a facility designed so that the activity in the building can be seen from outside. It also allows natural light to flood in. A cafe and a meeting space will make it a great place for staff and the public to mingle, to learn together and to network together in a hub of world-class research, creativity, knowledge, discussion and debate. sbarc will connect up to 400 social sciences researchers with up to 400 people from the public, private and third sectors, as well as students, graduates and professional services staff. Here we will tackle societal challenges through social innovation and create new products and processes. The building will be the seed bed in which Wales can nurture tomorrow's big ideas post-pandemic. So I'd like to play a film here, and as you watch, I'll walk you through our sbarc building, which will drive shared innovation. The building features offices, social spaces and labs, as I've already said, and it will be home to a collective of 14 social science research groups, all of whom are dedicated to developing innovative solutions to societal problems through collaborative research activity. And it's also home to what we're calling Cardiff Innovations at sbarc, a centre packed with ideation spaces, laboratories and test beds to trial new ideas. Here we will develop partnerships to boost post-pandemic recovery by turning world-leading research into real-world processes, products, spin-outs and enterprises. It forms part of our strategy, which is called the Way Forward Recast, to bring people together in partnership and to help them to connect, collaborate and create. And it's an investment that's already created hundreds of local jobs across the South Wales supply chain as part of Cardiff University's biggest campus upgrade for a generation. I think you can imagine, as we look through these buildings, how much time, how much resources has gone into this building, and how it's really helped the local economy in employing lots of contractors, lots of subsets of contractors, and really stimulated the supply chain. So in a minute, I'll hand you over to John Boughton from Bouygues UK, who's going to talk about the construction project. But for now, let's watch the video finish. There we are. So John, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, and welcome everybody. First and foremost, and on behalf of Bouygues UK, we'd like to thank Cardiff University and its stakeholders for the opportunity to be involved in what is a prestigious project. Alongside the university, the team at Bouygues UK are bringing innovation, technical expertise, and a collaborative approach, along with our supply chain partners, to create the world's first social science research park right here in the capital. This is an appropriate time to give praise and thanks to our supply chain, who are such an important part of everything we do. Despite the challenge posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, it is both pleasing and exciting to see the progress being made, particularly over the past year. Much of our ability to achieve what we have is due to the collaborative spirit fostered throughout the project. As you will have heard, the campus buildings will feature creative spaces, an auditorium, laboratories and offices where innovative partnerships can flourish. Again, we are delighted to be partnering Cardiff on such a groundbreaking project. The Cardiff Innovation Campus has been and will continue to be an exciting but technically challenging construction project. We hope that giving people a chance to see it firsthand will illustrate the exciting work being undertaken. Prior to the pandemic, we hosted 300 civil engineering graduates. We participated in the Open Doors campaign, providing a unique chance to see behind the scenes of the site, whilst also showcasing the career opportunities offered in engineering and construction. We supported local employment initiatives and had planned to continue and develop site visits to enable people to see and appreciate some of the architecture and engineering skills. Working with Cardiff University to deliver this highly ambitious project, which would be a home of innovation, has been a great experience for all the team involved, I know. Creating the facilities which will turn research into real-world solutions and shape our futures is truly fantastic. So let's take a look at where we are. The image on the left-hand side is of a space known as the workbox. This section of the building is due to be handed over in the autumn and will be home to up to 400 researchers. sbarc will eventually be completed by stakeholders from the public, by stakeholders from the public, private and third sectors, alongside professional services staff. On the right-hand side is the playbox, a collaborative fusion space. The visible element is a structure which will support acoustic line finishes forming the void, which will be an auditoria type space fitted with some high-tech equipment. A key feature which you can't see from the picture is what will be a white polished floor. The building also hosts the UK's first and only ocular staircase. The collaboration space focuses on the area around the ocular staircase, with extended collaboration space on each floor around the staircase. Some fun facts about the space include 60 miles of internal and external cable, which is enough cable to run from Cardiff to Llanelli, certainly a lot further than I could run. Over 300 meters of buzz bar, which for the non-engineering people among us are metallic strips used to distribute electrical current. This would be enough to reach the top of the Eiffel Tower. We have over 2,500 light fittings and 6 miles of containment, enough to run around an Olympic track 24 times. We have 0.5 megawatt of cooling and approximately 5 kilometers of pipework. It's fair to say our mechanical and electrical partners have been very, very busy. Here you can see the image of the UK's first and only ocular staircase. Working in partnership with Taunton Fabrications, 4D Structures, and our team here at the Innovation Campus, it took approximately 6 months to generate the final design and coordination. Originally, plans were to drop the stairs in using spider crane off the floors. This would have required backpropping of the slabs until all the structure was completed and would have limited the progress of M&E installations around the stairs. Subsequently, and in close collaboration we agreed a different approach, installing the stairs onto the reinforced concrete slabs as they were built, coordinating the formwork for the concrete frame around the stairs for the floors above. This is the TRH building, and as you can see, the laboratory benches and fume cupboards where end users will undertake testing. This area is due for handover earlier in the new year. The clean room is a semiconductor research and development facility and will be completed during first quarter 2022. So what have we delivered to date? We are really pleased that the project recently received a considerate construction score of 44, which is excellent. What this means for you is the project has presented an image of competent management, efficiency awareness of environmental issues, and above all, being neighbourliness. In addition to the considerate contractor scheme, we recognise that a strong commitment to corporate social responsibility is required by our customers, our partners, our supply chain, and it is also rightly expected by our employees. Our mission is to deliver a sustainable built environment that creates a better life for communities. Social value is one of 3 pillars which underpin our corporate social responsibility policy. Here's a snapshot of some of the social value we have delivered on the project from June 2018 to April 2021. 65% of the expenditure has been spent within the local supply chain. 100% of the procurement contracts have included commitments to ethical procurement. 241 apprentice weeks has been delivered, providing an opportunity for our future generations. And 63% of the staff on site are from South East Wales, and 70% come from the wider Wales area, bringing wider community benefit and reinvestment to the heart of the partnership while supporting local industry and construction contractors. Bouygues UK defines social value as the activity we do which enhances people's lives and communities within which we work by improving the conditions of the wider community to reduce inequality, improve well-being, inclusion, and deliver prosperity for all, whilst being aligned to support delivery against the UN Sustainable Development Goals. To enable Bouygues UK to deliver social value, we work with a range of stakeholders. We are appreciative of the support of our colleagues, supply chain, and the relationships we have developed with our partners as we work together to making lives better every day. Some key dates that we have to look forward to include power being available within the TRH building during May, completion of the mechanical and electrical services within the clean room during June, and within sbarc, the Oculus and auditoria seating being installed during July. So in conclusion, driving innovation is a key priority for Bouygues UK. So we are very proud to showcase the progress today on a building that has been designed to encourage innovation and collaboration between like-minded professionals from a diverse range of backgrounds. We have carried out the work in a manner that recognises the community we are working in, adding back value as we proceed. We are now at a critical juncture where we embark on commissioning ready for end user experiences. And most importantly, we thank Cardiff University for the opportunity to work with them to deliver this prestigious project, and we look forward to celebrating its successful completion early in 2022. Let's now hear from Team sbarc, Damian and Sally. Thank you.
Diolch yn fawr i ti, John. Croeso cynnes iawn i chi i gyd. Diolch yn fawr am ymuno â ni. A few overarching comments from me before we continue with the slides and continue with our journey through sbarc. Its culture as well as the physical building. And on that score, I wanted to say that sbarc is not just a building, not merely a new addition to a skyline or a campus. It's built for our colleagues. It's built to enable interdisciplinary research that changes lives. It's designed for collaboration with multiple partners on both sides of the building, and we'll profile that dual within a single identity in a moment. It's built for all our students too, as I'll explain, and it's designed with the aim of intervening for good, of solving some wicked social problems and societal challenges to which, as we all know, COVID has only given a sharper edge. And I do mean designed here, because Hawkins Brown as architects have designed it precisely to enable the collaborations that will result in those transformative interventions. And as I'll emphasize throughout, what sbarc is not is a silo. And I wanted, before we begin this section to record publicly how much of a pleasure and a privilege, and I do mean that, and a steep learning curve, I have to say that, working with the sbarc team and our partners, including John, how much of a pleasure that's been, both on the construction side and what we call the service design side as well. So this is an enterprise I personally believe in as a good, and with the Director of Operations in sbarc, Sally O'Connor, I hope we can bring some of that to light and to life in this presentation. Okay, so that slide is where we are. That's the view again that you saw in your very first slide, and what you're viewing there is our overarching ambition on the right-hand side, and I'll read it. It is to create a community, an important word, driven by expertise, creativity, curiosity, and entrepreneurship, focused on tackling the complex challenges facing societies around the world. And central to that, central to being able to achieve that, is connectivity, our capability to work collaboratively and in a fundamentally new interdisciplinary mindset within, across, and beyond our social science units, precisely in order to be able to address those major societal challenges. And what we're making possible here is an enabling environment for creative interaction and collaboration that extends, as John said earlier, to the private, public, and third sectors. This is the university's front door to partnerships, and that door, as all doors do, enables two-way access. So I'll say something about that in a moment as well. The other way to put it is that the building is a stimulus to Cardiff University's commitment to doing things differently and more innovatively, to harnessing a more synergistic relationship between research and teaching and wider society, and to creating a space, or better and more accurately, a culture for a collaborative network of like-minded organizations. Can we have the next slide, please? Thanks. So that's the oculus staircase that John profiled there, and the revealing cross-section of that culture that I referred to. And I do want to talk in terms of a culture rather than merely a space. The building will house two complementary enterprises, and you've heard of both of them in passing already. Sally and Chris Taylor, as academic director, will put more flesh on those bones in a moment. I'll say something about that now. Cardiff Innovations at sbarc is one of them, home to individuals and companies whom our values-based culture will see emphatically as partners, not as tenants. And on the other side, the world's first social science research park, sbarc, comprising 13 cutting-edge, already demonstrably impactful and transformative social science research entities, whose work and external research collaborators Chris will mention shortly. Both of those enterprises have been created to extend and deepen Cardiff University's partnership with organizations from, as we've said, the public, private, third sectors. And as we've been really at pains to emphasize, the collaborations will be enabled between our research entities themselves, as much as between those entities and external partners. So this is an act of de-siloing, of coming together, of naturalizing a collaborative interdisciplinary research in a new kind of culture and a new kind of space. So this is new for us as well. Our outwardly facing professional services teams, commercial development, business engagement and partnerships, and the continuing professional development unit, they will also relocate to provide a seamless service to external partners, bringing connections between academia and industry to life. Next slide, please. Diolch. Slightly busy slide. I'm going to riff on it rather than read it. Key here is a word and concept I've mentioned already: value or values. So for collaborators, both on the academic social science side and on the entrepreneurial social enterprise and startup side of the building, we will offer research and development and training opportunities, research expertise, and executive education as part of a two-way relationship that will see our research culture and our undergrad and PG students, postgraduate students, benefit from what those collaborators also bring us in the form of knowledge, reach, access to networks, and ways through to the heart of the social problems we're trying to solve. So yes, there will be movement of our staff, PS, professional services, and academic from existing real estate to this building, but the culture ethos and systems we've put in place ensure that the loop back into the research centre's mother schools, if you like, in the university, and the link back from the new research that the new culture will catalyse back into the education portfolio, and therefore back into the student experience, that all that will be strengthened and enhanced. That's what I mean when I emphasise that sbarc is no silo. And important to us in putting this together were the opportunities that we want to make available for students, both on the academic side of the building and on the innovation side. Those are hardwired into how we will operate in the form of access to internships and placements, undergraduate and postgraduate projects, PhD research, very clearly, opportunities to work with flagship partners, and ultimately education programs built around both the research that's going to be catalyzed in the building and indeed the unique culture of the building itself, which is deserving of further study and monitoring and evaluation as we go through. So I'll now hand over to Sally, who will say more about the lettable spaces available for externals and the facilities available within the building, all part, remember, of shared and values-driven culture of sbarc. Sally.
Thanks, Damian. So as mentioned earlier, we've got a series of lettable office units and wet labs available of various sizes throughout the building for organisations who want to collaborate with us. For those who don't want a dedicated office, we also have co-working areas. We welcome organisations of all sizes, from startups through to established organisations from all sectors, but importantly, organisations who want to or perhaps are already collaborating with us, whether that's with our students, our graduates, collaborative research or teaching. We don't want this to be just a traditional landlord-tenant type relationship, just renting office space. The offer is really for you to come and join us and be part of our community. There's a dedicated on-site team to support the organisations that co-locate with us, including a business support officer and a community manager, alongside our broader business-facing professional service teams. Working with the student enterprise team, we've got some dedicated co-working space in the building for student entrepreneurs, and we very much hope that some of the organisations that co-locate with us will be interested and willing to host internships and placements for our students. Cardiff Innovations at sbarc is closely linked to the Maindy Centre at the Heath Park site, a joint venture between the university and the Vale University Health Board, providing space and support for biotech and medtech startups. I'm now going to show you a short video produced by our architect Hawkins Brown that I hope will give you a better sense of the shared spaces and some of the facilities available in the building more broadly. Okay, so what you see here is a large event space for up to 190 people for the sort of TEDx style events, and adjacent to that will be an on-site cafe run by a local independent cafe operator. You're now looking at the ocular staircases that's been referred to earlier by John. The design intent of the building is very much about flexibility, collaboration, and activity-based working. Each floor had a dedicated tea point, and there are a number of informal social spaces and formal meeting rooms throughout the building, including a high-end executive space and boardroom on the top floor with a balcony with views over the city. We also have some specialist facilities, including a visualization lab, podcast studio, and a behavioural lab. There'll also be a remaker space, Wales's first academia industry centre, which focuses on raising awareness, providing education and tangible solutions to both individuals and companies involved in the circular economy, manufacturing, and sustainable material use. This is led by Professor Aris Sintetos in the Business School in partnership with the global logistics company DSV Panalpina. So in terms of next steps, we've already received quite a lot of inquiries from organisations interested in relocating with us. We're just in the process of finalising the application process, which we'll communicate in the next few weeks. But in the meantime, we're obviously happy to take inquiries. as emphasised earlier by Damian, key to the success of sparc is connectivity, and it's most definitely not a case of build it and they will come. And we've run quite a few events and activities internally, and we will continue to build on that in the coming months, as well as reaching out to our external partners. We're currently recruiting some core posts that will be absolutely crucial to the development of Spark, and this process is underway. In terms of timescales, the building is due to be completed in October this year, so only a few months away. And following a fit out for furniture and IT, etc., we hope to be able to move our own staff in before Christmas, and then our external partners from early 2022. So I'm now going to show you a short animation film that explains in simple terms really what the Social Science Research Park is.
We are met with complex challenges every day, from tackling healthcare issues to reducing our carbon footprint. With great change on the horizon, it's how we react, adapt, and resolve these issues that will spark change in our futures. Research has too often been done in silos, with great focus on a narrow area of expertise. But through shared knowledge and access to data, wider problems can be solved, from inequality to sustainability, from helping our aging population to better ways of raising our children. It's that spark of an idea, disrupting what we know. By thinking differently, our behaviour will change. This research is already happening. But now there is a new home in Cardiff that brings it together. A place open to the world that celebrates and encourages innovative thinking, collaborative working, and sharing ideas. The world's first social science research park, Spark. A spark to change our futures.
Thanks, Sally, and thanks, Damian, and afternoon, everybody. So for the last part of the presentation, I'm just going to talk through a bit more detail about Spark and the centres that are going into the Social Science Research Park, and then talk about some of our work in relation to COVID and the recovery from the pandemic. So just to remind everybody, this is a really unique opportunity. It's a major investment by the university to create a new opportunity for both the social science researchers that are in the university, but also our partners outside the university and across communities, public sector, private sector, and third sector organisations. The idea is, as we've described it, is to create this kind of unique environment for conducting challenge-led interdisciplinary research. And we plan to do that through a number of ways. The co-location of those partners and of our researchers from different disciplines and from different subjects is itself something that is a major feature of this work, and actually should not be underestimated, the significance and the potential value of that. So bringing people together, increasing that connectivity, as Damian outlined earlier, providing opportunities for collision and ideas to be shared and to be developed alongside with one another, and in a more visible and transparent way, is a key way of encouraging that kind of collaboration and future development of our social science research. That will lead itself, hopefully, to more co-produced research projects, where they're co-produced with our partners and with our strategic partnerships across the UK and internationally. I think working again with our partners in different ways will improve our impact and the way we go about having impact with our research. Cardiff University already has a significant track record in its impact of its research, particularly in the social sciences, but there are still obviously many ways in which we need to have demonstrable more impact in those local communities, where that research really matters. So looking for kind of creative approaches to that impact is going to be key to what we do. Fourthly, a space for where we can challenge and critique one another. A safe space is the way I like to describe it. Quite a lot of the time, social science research has to have those debates with policymakers and practitioners in the public domain. And that can cause anxiety, tensions, and it makes it very difficult to have those kind of honest and frank conversations. So here we can bring people together create a space where people feel comfortable with one another. We develop trust. We develop humility in our own work in order to be able to challenge and critique one another, in order to then progress those debates further. Then we're also hoping to develop new cutting edge research, design and methods. This is a great opportunity to share methods across different disciplines, subjects, to look at opportunities and learning from other subjects outside the social sciences, including engineering, for example, and computer sciences and medical sciences, where we can develop and bring in new tools and new methods and new approaches to the way we go about our research. Working with private sector partners who might be able to inform us about innovative approaches to new ways of working, new technologies, and the use of those in our research. And obviously, sbarc itself provides an important showcase of the incredible work that we do at Cardiff University in social sciences and the impact that we already have, but also to demonstrate how social sciences can be more leading in some of those issues and challenges that we face, working with our partners in the other sciences, the biological, physical sciences, but also across international waters as well. And ultimately, the goal, as we've explained, is to find new ways of addressing those societal challenges. The problems we face as society are incredibly complex. We all know that. But what's clearly obvious is that we need to develop more complex ways of undertaking our research and the kind of research and data that we need to generate in order to have demonstrable impacts as we go forward. So next, I'm going to outline to you the kind of research and innovation ecosystem of the Social Science Research Park. As Sally's mentioned already, this is made up of 13 research centres across Cardiff University. They represent a wide range of different subjects and disciplines. And in many ways, that's what makes this a very exciting opportunity. Each of those centres has a significant track record already in undertaking internationally world-leading high-quality research. They've already got strong relationships with their partners and their funders. But by bringing these together, we can begin to start to identify areas of synergy, collaboration, and shared interests in order to develop better ways of undertaking research going forward. So those 13 research centres, as I say, demonstrate quite a wide range of different subjects and disciplines. And that's what makes sbarc a very interesting and very exciting opportunity, because we're removing a lot of those disciplinary silos. Each of these centres come from different schools and colleges across the university. And our ambition ultimately is for the Social Science Research Park to have a footprint, or for every school in the university to have a footprint in this space where we can find ways of connecting our colleagues across the university. So alongside those research centres, we also will have our associated research centres. I'm going to mention the International Public Policy Observatory shortly, but this is a good example of a research centre which is located outside Cardiff University, led elsewhere by UCL, but which brings sbarc into that kind of ecosystem and makes those connections both across the UK, but ultimately internationally too. Secondly, then we have our strategic partnerships with the university. The university has one already with the Office for National Statistics in Newport, and we're working very closely with the ONS in terms of how we might develop sbarc, the sorts of research opportunities that might arise through that collaboration, and putting together jointly joint applications for research projects. We also have a number of memorandums of understanding with various key partners. The latest one, of course, we have, which was signed just before Christmas, was with the Future Generations Commissioner. Again, a very unique opportunity that Wales provides in having both an Act and a Commissioner that is concerned with the future generations and the future well-being of our society. And of course, that relates very closely to the kind of ambitions that sbarc has and the research that we do. And then ultimately through our membership. So as Sally's outlined already, there'll be plenty of opportunities for external organisations to join us in this space, whether that be face-to-face or whether that be through virtual kind of membership, but accessing the facilities, the support, the research, the students, the events that we'll be organising to work together in order to develop a kind of value contribution whereby we learn from them and they will learn from us. We will develop good relationships and stronger relationships to do an exciting and innovative research. So next I'm going to go on to what we've been doing in relation to COVID. And obviously it's been a very challenging time for everybody over the last 15 months. And obviously much of the attention inevitably and quite rightly has been focused on the contribution of the medical sciences to that pandemic. There has been also a lot of good social science research going on in the background, which has been helped to inform some of the recovery. And as we move into this next phase, as we come out of the depths of the pandemic into a kind of recovery phase, the ways in which we go about reconstructing our society on the back of the pandemic are going to be very important, and the social sciences are going to take an even greater role in that work. So I want to first of all highlight here the work of the Wales Centre for Public Policy, one of the centres who will be in the Social Science Research Park, who have been supporting the Welsh Government throughout the pandemic very closely, working with ministers in identifying evidence needs that they needed during this period, and helping together to put together the priorities for reconstruction after the pandemic. And that's included briefings and other events where they've been able to talk to ministers, bringing experts together to talk about key particular topics. My next example is the International Public Policy Observatory. This gives us access into a UK-wide evidence ecosystem, which has been set up by the Economic Social Research Council to support UK policymakers in the recovery from the pandemic. And this is to mobilise evidence to those policymakers on key topics in themes in a kind of real time, so that they're informed as they're making decisions. And already the work of the IPPO has been involved in the summer recovery schemes, adolescent mental health, homelessness, and adult and social care, data uses, and a current focus on the impact of inequalities as rising from the pandemic. So that the International Public Policy Observatory is a key way in which the work we do in Cardiff in sbarc is going to be used and mobilised around the UK to other governments and internationally. My next example is from Wizard and the ADR Wales. This is undertaken by the Wizard Education Data Lab, and this project was set up very early on during the pandemic to try and understand the impact of the pandemic on learners in Wales. The access to young people during the pandemic was incredibly difficult, but we had the unique opportunity in Wales to use routinely collected administrative data using what's called the Hub learning platform, which is, if anybody has a child living in Wales, they will know about the Hub platform. This is how most children in Wales will access their learning materials and resources through their schools. And every time they were logging in, and every time their teachers were logging in, that information was being collected. And we were given unique access to that data set in order to be able to monitor the uptake of online learning during and throughout the pandemic, right up until the current time. And so that analysis has been very useful at identifying where there have been gaps in uptake of that learning online, where there are particular groups of young people who have probably had the least access to that learning materials and resources, in order to help the Welsh Government identify and target their future support. The next example we have is from the Crime and Security Research Institute. They've been interested in the use of and the rise in disinformation on social media related to COVID-19, and again working with colleagues across Europe in particular, looking at where those sources of that disinformation are coming from, how people respond to that disinformation, and how that changes people's perceptions about the virus and the pandemic. The next example is from Lab, which is a unique partnership between the Welsh Government, Cardiff University and Nesta. And this is just an example of the sort of work they've been doing, which has been supporting the professionals and practitioners working in the health sector, focusing on their mental health and well-being during the pandemic. And of course, we know anybody who knows anybody who's been working in the NHS during these last 15 months will understand it has been incredibly stressful time for them. So actually these projects, such as the HARP COVID-19 Sprint Challenge, has been really important at providing an arts-based approach to supporting them in their well-being as they've been undertaking these important roles during the pandemic. My last example is of the Centre for Innovation Policy Research and their collaborative work with the Cardiff Capital Region, which is now set up to undertake a number of Challenge Fund projects, working with public and private third sector organisations to develop new innovations around 3 priority areas, including decarbonisation, health and wellbeing, and transforming communities. And these projects will be running for the next few years in order to develop innovative solutions and remedies and ideas and research around those key challenges amongst our communities in our local region. Finally, I just want to end with this slide here. COVID's been an incredibly challenging time for social science researchers. One of the problems we've faced, of course, is that our laboratory is out there in the real world, in public spaces. And of course, we've been constrained in terms of what we've been able to do, the fieldwork we've been able to undertake, and it's limited what we've been able to provide and undertake for kind of recovery. But the pandemic has also taught us a number of opportunities. It's provided a great opportunity to build on the use and importance of scientific evidence to inform policymakers directly and in real time during the pandemic. And this direct and timely approach is where sbarc can make a real difference, because by bringing people together into this space, working in different ways, developing our research and communication around a strong ethos of values and communication, we can ensure that we can have a more direct and more timely impact on the kind of thinking and work of those practitioners. But alongside that, using our ability to undertake world-leading, high-quality research, which connects to evidence generation, evidence mobilization right across the world, in order to bear down on what we might do in a local context, both within our local area, within our region, and within our country. So that gives us a unique opportunity to build a strong, fair, and resilient recovery from the pandemic. Thank you for listening this afternoon. I'll now hand you back over to Karen and we'll begin to take some questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Chris. Thanks also to John, to Damian, and to Sally. I hope that in the audience you can appreciate that this project, this major project, will only work with you. So we really want to encourage you to get in touch with us over the next few months and to really engage with us. And working together, we will deliver this brave ambition. So this slide shows some details of how to get in touch. I think we'll leave that up for a couple of minutes while you take notes, but I think hopefully it's easy to find us with innovation at Cardiff. Don't worry, we've got plenty of questions coming in, which I think probably you can only see the answered ones for now. And I just want to thank people actually who've sent in some questions that we've already answered, because these have been really uplifting for us. So we've had congratulations on how the Oculus looks, and that was quite a task to design that and then to make that design into reality, but it is absolutely stunning. So thanks, Tina, for noticing that. Also, there was a comment from Ian about this project showed great courage, vision and tenacity, and absolutely it does. So thank you for those uplifting comments. Please look at the answered questions because we are answering those typing wise, but we've got some that we would really like to answer live. And the first one is from Cressida Ford. So welcome, Cressida, nice to hear from you. And the question is, will the university consider making student engagement, placements, etc. a mandatory part of the tenancy agreements for organisations who occupy space in the sbarc building? And I'd like to ask Sally to answer that. You're on mute, Sally.
Sorry.
One.
Thanks for the question, Cressida. I mean, the student engagement and placements, I hope you've realised is very important for us in creating those opportunities for our students. We're working closely with the careers and employability team to ensure those opportunities are available for our students. It's not currently mandatory, but we're very keen to encourage as much of that type of activity as possible. We're working very hard to do that.
Yeah, thank you, Sally. And another important question here from Ashish Vishwanath, which is, how can international alumni be part of this? And is there any scope for visa sponsorship? So I don't know, Chris, have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we very much plan to have an international visiting scheme for sbarc. What might be unique about that is it won't just be academics visiting us, but it will be the equivalents of our partners as well. So we'll be looking and very keen to get the visitors from public, private and third sector organisations who have a very similar role to some of the organisations who we'll be working with in the space, so that it's not just an academic exchange of ideas, but it's also an exchange of ideas from all those involved in the research ecosystem and the research community. In terms of visa sponsorship, these are the sorts of things that we will be certainly looking at, and what we can do to help facilitate those connections and contacts. Obviously, the pandemic's changed a lot about the way we might all work, particularly in terms of travel and international relationships. And so we need to be quite mindful of that. But nevertheless, I think this is something we're very keen to see happen, and I'm sure we'll have lots of very exciting visitors come into the building, and in return having the opportunity to be able to fund our colleagues to go and visit others elsewhere.
Okay, thanks, Chris. That's great. So we've got a question that came in quite early on from Christopher Christie. And the question is, how will sbarc be developing an innovation ecosystem or a series of interconnected entrepreneurial ecosystems that will all accelerate ideation? So who wants to pick that one up?
I'll do that. So thanks, Christopher, for the question. We began to outline some of those ideas during the presentation. So I'll start by saying the importance of co-location is itself a very important part of that. You know, actually having face-to-face interactions with people from a wide diversity of backgrounds and experiences is very important to those kind of ideas creation. But we've also got plans for hackathons, particularly policy hackathons. So you can imagine a policy organisation of any kind, local government, national government, coming along with a particular challenge they've got, and we invite colleagues from across Social Science Research Park and Cardiff Innovations and the wider university to attend these hackathons to kind of try and test out and develop some innovative responses to those challenges. And the challenges could be very small or something very big. And I can imagine we'll be running a programme of these hackathons throughout the year, involving a wide variety of organisations come along to kind of share their concerns and their challenges to us. So that would be one of the key ways of doing it.
Karen, if I could just come in and say we're being part of the local ecosystem is really important to us, and we're talking to other similar sort of facilities like Tram Shed and the like to make sure that we're all part of this same ecosystem that wants good things to happen in Wales, and we've been building those relationships over time, and we'll continue to do that, and also with our partner Welsh institutions as well, who have similar facilities such as sbarc in Bangor as well. So we are building those relationships, and we'll continue to do that, and having the new staff that I referred to as well will give us that additional capacity to do even more.
That's great. Yeah, that's great to hear. Thank you, Sally. Okay, we've got a question here. I want to go to a question from Ben Wilkins. So Ben says, I own a startup with an innovative proof of concept which would significantly contribute to social science research whilst delivering community benefits. I am looking to partner with an organisation who can support in bringing the concept to life. Would sbarc be able to support my business? And if so, how do you see a relationship like that working? And Ben's also added, Alex, I would be keen to discuss your challenge to see how our proof of concept could support you. And I think Alex was from Welsh Government, who had a question on net carbon zero. So I think I'm presuming, Ben, that your innovation is to do with net carbon zero. So who wants to pick that one up?
Yeah, I'll take that. Ben, absolutely. This is exactly the sorts of thing we would hope to be doing. We have a small team of staff dedicated to start a conversation with you about that opportunity, to talk through exactly what it is you need, and then put together a program of of collaboration through the membership system in order to access the resources you need, whether that be expertise, mentoring students to help take the proposal forward. But that will be done through a conversation with you, and every partner we'll have will probably have their own particular relationships with us. I think we're very keen to develop bespoke arrangements with each partner. Everybody's needs will be very different. I think we need to recognise that. But yes, that's precisely the sort of thing we want to do. And critically, Ben, is not only would your organisation or you find the benefit of that, but by being part of our ecosystem, we should hopefully put you in touch with other similar organisations undertaking very similar things, perhaps in a different field, a different sector, where you can also learn and get support from the other private sector and access some of our public sector partners who I think you would probably need in order to deliver the product.
And I think it's also worth noting as well, we have the commercial development team co-located with this in the building, who have lots of advice in terms of for business and setting up and establishing businesses as well.
Yeah, thanks, Sally. Thanks, Chris, for answering those so well. And I think the overall message from that is that, we can help a number of people. So if you think that you need help, then get in touch with us, because we've got a team of people dedicated to working out what you need and signposting and so on. And it really is a genuine offer there, a genuine team approach. So I've got an interesting question here now from Jan Ponsford. And it is, and I guess this is for you, Sally. What will you do if tenant demand exceeds the available space?
Well, that's a really good question, Jan, and that would be a nice position for us to be in. I mean, at the moment, as I said, we have had quite a lot of inquiries from organisations. We're as I said, in the process of finalising our application process, and it's important for us that we have the right organisations for us, as well as it being right for the organisation. If we were in that position, then maybe better talk to Karen and Damian about building another building, but I don't think that's going to happen just yet. But
yeah, nice hint there, Sally. Thank you. But I'm sure that, I mean, the university's got lots of space, so I'm sure that we would be able to. We would, if clients, if demand exceeded supply, we would create an innovative solution until we could build a new building. So. Yeah, excellent. So a question from Audra Smith, and Audra Smith says the building looks fabulous, by the way, so thanks very much. I can see John smiling at that. But the question is to all, really, what would be, in your view, early indicators that the culture, ethos and system is working to deliver its vision? And I think possibly Damian would like to pick that one up.
Yes, please. That's a great question, Audra. Thanks. And it's key because first thing I want to say is that we've built into our experience constant monitoring and evaluation. In other words, we want to know what success looks like, and we want to be quite meta about that as well. We want to analyze, if you like, the culture of that new building as we're living it. So be assured that we will be monitoring that really carefully. There'll be, in answer to your question, there'll be some really clear, concrete indicators of success early on, which we've mapped out. For example, on the academic side, on the social sciences side, there'll be an increase, we know, in grant capture success. We will know that there'll be an impact on policy when the interdisciplinary social science is teaming up with those social challenges that we're trying to solve. I guess one other indicator would be that we ourselves as researchers, as members of Cardiff University, would be surprised by the new directions in which our research is being taken, simply because of the new collaborators on both sides of the building that we have yet to work with. So an element of surprise there, being surprised, and of not knowing where we're going. In other words, that there is the possibility of greater interdisciplinary research and directions. That's one indication that this new environment will be working. Chris, do you want to amplify that?
Other than to disagree with you, Damian, on that, I mean, we've taken a bit of effort to make sure that we collect data as we're going through this process, so that we can analyze and study the impact the building's having on the way we go about our work. So we've already undertaken a survey of all the staff who are likely to move in last summer, which asked them questions about their enjoyment of their work, who they work with, how much collaboration they do, whether they feel constrained by the opportunities that they're afforded. And the idea is that we will repeat that survey in order to collect important data on the impact that we're having on our colleagues. Of course, inevitably, by focusing on culture, it is much harder to get tangible outcomes and really see the immediate benefits of it. And we are kind of trusting that by building that culture, we will eventually, in the long term, have significant impacts on our research. But we do need to put benchmarks in there along the way to make sure we're making the right decisions and to test our ideas and change our plans and routes if we need to.
And I think from my perspective, looking at success, I mean, it is a lot of sbarc success is predicated on the people. It's the opportunities afforded by the co-location and the opportunities that we create. So I would like to look back on sbarc in a few years' time and, things will have happened that I could never imagine possible. There will be some linkages. You think, okay, I maybe thought that could happen, but I'd like to think there'd be new things that we couldn't imagine possible now that are happening in a few years' time.
Yeah, thanks, Sally. I'm sure that'll be the case. Right, we're coming to the end, and I think we've got time just for one more quick question and answer. And this question is from Caroline Semmons. Thank you for this question. It's really relevant, actually. And it's, do the general public fully realise the research influence and input universities have on public policy? Is there a role for awareness raising with such a large community in sbarc? And Chris, I think perhaps you could come to that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Karen. It's a really good question. If I'm honest, I don't think we do get that recognition. I think in a university like Cardiff, which is a Russell Group university, which has ambitious plans, has strength of research across a wide number of areas, it can be very difficult for any of us in the university to get sometimes not so much the recognition, because I think we do recognise it, but certainly the kind of the attention of the impact of our work. And obviously the REF cycle, the Research Excellence Framework that we go through every 7 years is one way in which we're able to share and disseminate and celebrate our success and achievements. But I think what's probably more important here is that I'm very keen that we make visible the work we do as we're doing it, so that we don't get to the point at the end where we're saying, oh, by the way, did you not know that was us? We should be sharing our research activities and the processes with the public, with our stakeholders, so that they can see the sorts of things we're doing as we're doing it. And I think that will change the public perception of the role of social sciences and the contribution it makes to public policy and practice.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chris. And that's a wonderful moment to finish on. I'd like to thank all of the participants. I mean, you are what makes this happen. We are here for you. And there's been over 100 online today. Thank you for all the fantastic questions. And I'm amazed that we managed to get through them all, but we did. I'd just like to comment. I mean, it's particularly relevant that we've got our partners Bouygues here today, because this is a great example of partnership. And I, for one, I've loved working with Bouygues UK, and I've been blown away. I mean, John didn't mention a bit about the community benefits, but I've been blown away by their real commitment to working with us in partnership to deliver those community benefits, because that's been really important to us. And they have really understood that, and they've worked with us, and they've gone above and beyond my expectations actually in that area. So I'd like to thank them for that. I'd like to thank all the team behind this who've made this webinar work. So thank you to the team, but most of all, thanks to Damian, Sally and Chris, the sbarc team, for basically delivering on this vision, which we had quite a few years ago, and it's so exciting to see it come into fruition now. So thank you all. Thanks everybody. I'll say goodbye, diolch, and see you soon.